Sonic Adventure was the first proper 3D mainline Sonic game, and with the dimensional shift there became a lot of issues that had to be accounted for. One such issue being combat. Simply jumping at enemies in 3D would be more clumsy and frustrating than in 2D, so the homing attack was implemented to make the 3D games more playable and fun. However, I'm not here to play games that are playable and fun, so let's throw that crap into garbage and see what that's like. Can you beat the Sonic Adventure games without the homing attack? The rules are thus: we have to beat both games from the beginning without the use of the homing attack or the air boost it provides. Both runs are being performed on the Xbox 360 ports of their respective games. That said, let's get started. Emerald Coast should get you adjusted to the playstyle. Without the homing attack, we can jump onto enemies to damage them, getting us past Chaos Zero, and for movement, we still have the spin dash at its most broken appearance. Spamming it gets you around at lightning speeds, and jumping out of it will retain your momentum, letting you go really far distances, making up for the lack of your air boost. If you ever homing attack by accident, then either die or pause and reset the stage. Both function exactly the same. After Windy Valley, pick up the Chaos Ring, giving you a boost to your charging speed and running speed. During Casinopolis, the sewer is viable, letting you get the 400 rings much faster. Resetting during this stage will save the amount of rings you have as long as you've deposited them before resetting. Not long after that, you encounter one of the few really tough homing attackless fights, Chaos the Dolphin. Staying on the lily pad is not recommended. Some attacks become much harder to dodge, and being too close will get you hit and killed immediately after your invincibility frames, even if it looks like he's not attacking. So we're going to want to be in constant movement. By pressing the action button in the air, Sonic will uncurl from his ball, preventing use of a homing attack. Use this to hop around the arena until Echo 4 emerges. When he does, spin dash towards him and jump at his brain. Carefully repeat until the fight's over. Twinkle Park begins with you having to precisely jump into an enemy to get the best looking car available. In the rest of the stage, there's a lot more difficult platforming. However, most of the time failing simply puts you on a lower route. Because of that safety net, it doesn't take long till the stage is over. Before Red Mountain, you get the Ancient Light, giving you the ability to light speed attack. This essentially is a homing attackless homing attack. Why is it allowed then? Cause who cares? To see how useful it truly is, go right into the stage itself. You may see a chain of enemies in this level, which seems like a perfect opportunity for a new attack. If it doesn't hit immediately, it'll flail around and give up. On the off chance it does actually hit, when there are no more enemies, Sonic will drop down with little to no control over him. The stage requires a lot more quick platforming during the second half to stay ahead of the lava. When spin dash jumping, try not to hit the enemies. When jumping into enemies with enough speed, it'll propel you up and kill most of your momentum. In Skydeck, stay on the bottom route until you reach the first climbable cylinder. Then go to the top route and spin dash spam your way to the second half where there is essentially no more challenge. Against semi-perfect chaos, using the light speed attack is actually optimal. One trek through a lost world later, and it's time for the final stage, Final Egg. When you get to the swinging hammers, slowly hop around them. There are a few chains of enemies, but you can either jump past or around them. In the final third, there are multiple rooms full of enemies that light speed attacking will clear out. Without the homing attack, the platforming is only a bit more stressful, but still entirely manageable. Story isn't over yet, it's time for the final challenge of the campaign, the Egg Viper. Most of his basic attacks can be dodged by simply not sitting still. A few hits in, he gets far away and connects you to him with blue orbs that you have to homing attack. Wow, what a great opportunity for the light speed attack. Instead, charge the spin dash for just a bit and jump as far as possible. You should be able to make it to Eggman. If you make it to the final orb, you'll bounce high enough off it to reach Eggman that way as well. When Eggman throws the Beyblades at you, hold a jump as soon as he throws them, you'll be able to land on them and then hit him. A few more smacks and he gets put down for good, finishing Sonic's campaign. So, I'm gonna level with you. I did not feel like spending about 5 hours playing through the other 5 campaigns starring characters who don't even have a homing attack to get to one final boss, so I used an already completed save file. If you want to consider that cheating, then be my guest to go beat the other 5 and say that you've done a great challenge. Perfect Cell, Chaos, isn't very hard. The homing attack in this fight is nearly useless anyways. In the second phase, going left for the first hit will likely get you caught by its constant attacks. You will most likely get stuck for a bit, and by the time you have the chance to get out, you won't have enough rings to finish the fight. That is the one and only roadblock. Otherwise, there's nothing preventing you from steamrolling the God of Destruction, proving that you can beat Sonic Adventure without the homing attack. With that over with, let's move on to the sequel. City Escape and Bigfoot are comfortable reintroductions to the playstyle. Most platforming is either really easy or can be bypassed. Since the first game, there have been some changes. Most notably is the somersault. It's an attack that keeps a greater sense of control, and jumping out of it gives you a higher jump. Also, if you mess up in homing attack, you have to pause and reset the stage this time. In this game, it actually restarts the stage instead of going to the last checkpoint. After that is Wild Canyon. As you might be able to guess, Knuckles, Tails, Eggman, and Rouge don't actually have homing attacks, so blast through these stages at your leisure and get as many S ranks as possible, because there's no way you're getting these on the speed stages in this challenge. Next Sonic stage is Metal Harbor, where less than 30 seconds in, you see this. A platform that is higher than the one you start on, and is connected by about 6 enemies that you have to homing attack. Thankfully, as impossible as this looks, it can in fact be gotten through. Jump onto the box to the left and aim for the moving box carrier on the next platform. Charge a spin dash and jump over and you should just barely be able to make it. Later, you see a less large pit that you only have to spin dash jump across. Next up is the Shadow fight. The casual strat is to spam the homing attack until Shadow messes up and dies. I'm not going to bother explaining why that isn't an option. Instead, I found a more consistent strategy. As soon as the battle begins, run to the tree in the corner of the arena. Run in circles around it, and Shadow will try to attack you and most likely miss. If he does, he'll stay in place, letting you roll into him. Repeat that until the battle is yours. The next stage is Green Forest, which has some more tense platforming to get through. Feel free to grab the Ancient Light while you're here. Spin dash jump and count for the camera change to make it over. Don't worry about the time limit. 8 minutes should be more than enough to make it to the end. That's the last Sonic stage for a good bit. Pyramid Cave is free, and so is the Egg Golem, who I thought would be impossible, forgetting the homing attack points came with platforms pre-installed. Next up, while I thought Crazy Gadget would be similar, it's not. Less than 30 seconds into the stage, you see this, the high-speed warp tube. You have to air dash into the glass to break it, and I've tried everything else. I've jumped, bounced, spin dash, jumped, light speed attacked, super bouncing, I threw Omo Chow at it. I was really disappointed when that one didn't work. I did everything I could think of to get past this, and none of it worked. After completing the run, I saw there have been other YouTubers who have attempted this challenge, all of which also declared this stage impossible. That said, there's not just one tube to get past, there are 3. 3 homing attacks later, and the stage still isn't free. There are 2 more relatively tough jumps. One immediately after the first tube, where you have to spin dash around enemies onto a destructible spring so you can't use the light speed attack, as well as a homing attack chain into a light dash. Spin dash jump into the ring trail, and if you fail to light dash, you will most likely die. Capping off the hero story is Final Rush. Right off the bat, it's absolutely crucial to flippy trick off the rail. For it, you get 1,000 points and some satisfaction. Final Rush revolves around rails, and it's not long in that we get these vertical rails, which, despite Omocha's propaganda, no, they aren't fun. Use the bounce bracelet at the very bottom of them, and they'll propel you to the top. Either that, or you'll have to risk spin dash jumping onto them. It's not hard in general, it's just pretty annoying. Clearing the stage gets you to the final boss against Shadow. For the first few hits, spin dash into him. The last few hits won't be as easy. When he teleports back on screen, try to line it up to where you can light speed dash into him. One Star Wars reference later, and it's time to begin the dark story. Before that, though, it is an absolute necessity to go back to City Escape and grab the magic gloves. No, this isn't a joke. I'm serious. Between all 4 Shadow stages, only one is really worth going into. Radical Highway and White Jungle are easy, and in Final Chase the only important note is that the spinning drums can't be spin dashed on, whether that be while rotating or on the top. All jumps can be made safely, making you to the end. The one stage left to cover is Sky Rail, where the first thing you do is flippy trick off the rail again. While it sounds like that's the most important part, once again, it's unfortunately not. Less than 30 seconds into the stage, you see this. This contraption, which I'll call the helicopter spring for simplicity, makes you ascend when homing attacking it. Only one forces a minimum of 3 homing attacks. The first one can be skipped with the spring off to the left, and make sure to grab the Ancient Light by spin dash jumping around a spire onto the spring. If you game over, you will keep it, and be prepared for game overing a lot. Going down the rail leads you to another helicopter spring. Thankfully, you can easily hop to the other rail, taking you past that segment. The bottom route from there takes you to a helicopter spring, and the top route takes you to another freaking helicopter spring, followed by yet another in both cases. This can be navigated through. Take neither route and stay on the bottom platform. It's easier to get rid of the enemy before doing this. On this platform, there's a bit of an indent. Run up it. From there, spin dash and jump off of it. You'll get launched into the air onto a higher platform. Unfortunately, we're still not done. Walk down the slope, hold back up, then spin dash jump to the higher platform. As long as you go far enough to the right, you should end up near the church. Hop onto the roof, and one final spin dash jump will get you back on route. Each of these spin dash jumps is incredibly precise and easy to mess up. Usually, messing up means restarting all of them. Once you get to the church, the level's essentially over. Victory lap your way to the remainder of the Dark Side story, and with both campaigns over, it's time for the last story. The only stage in this story is the longest and hardest stage in the game, Cannon Score. If you homing attack during the final segment, you have to restart the entire thing. Thankfully, that final segment is the only one we have to worry about. Wait for the first artificial chaos in the chain to retract his arms. From there, freeze time and spin dash jump around all of them. In the next room, use the somersault to kill the shield enemies, and then the big issue, the artificial chaos. No matter how you jump into him, it will kill enough of your momentum to guarantee that you will not make it back. I tried using the light speed attack, but it's just out of range of the other robots, so you won't hit them to get back. And like the last game, you'll drop like a rock. The only thing that will work to kill him is the magic gloves. They have a surprisingly high range, letting you grab him and throw him directly into the garbage. With that done, the rest of this section is simple, getting us out of there with no additional homing attacks. Next up is the final boss of the no homing attack run, and by far the hardest of both games, the Bio Lizard. Keeping a careful distance between you and the lizard is crucial. As soon as he starts to attack, get as far away as possible. For the first few hits, you can jump on the rail and it'll work as normal. The next few hits are harder. He summons a bunch of orbs and puts them all over the place. After the scene, start charging, use a lightspeed attack, and hope. Chances are Shadow will bounce up off the orbs to the top and hit the lizard. Chances also are that you won't get close to hitting him and land back on the floor. If you fail to charge or the lightspeed attack sucks and fails, jump onto the balls and bounce off them instead. You get just enough height and momentum to make it to the core. His final phase is simple, letting you finish the run. Witness the best transformation in the series and feel free to sing along to live and learn as you curb stomp the final hazard, definitively proving that it is in fact not possible to beat SA2 without the homing attack. As a whole, the first game's challenge wasn't very fun. It didn't feel very challenging. It was slightly more limiting, but largely felt the same. SA2 had more challenges, and at that, fun challenges. While I don't recommend doing an SA1 no homing attack run, I do absolutely recommend doing this run for the speed stages in SA2, especially if you're a fan of the game like me. Special shout out to the YouTube user Sega Sonic Stuff, who uploaded their own non-commentary video on all the Sonic stages in both games. It was one comment on their SA2 video that convinced me that Skyrail actually was possible. I checked their SA2 video for reference to make sure that Crazy Gadget was actually impossible. In addition, shoutouts to the channels MSC Modern Sonic channel and Fidgety Attic, who did their own videos on no homing attack runs of these games. Links to their videos in the description. Have a good day, and I'll see you later.